Começa agora o programa que dissipa mitos e enfrenta até os temas mais difíceis do mundo da cerveja. Apresentado pelo grão-mestre das piadas ruins, Henrique Boaventura.
Posso falar a besteira que eu quiser aqui, que tá tudo em casa.
Na companhia de pessoas mais inteligentes que ele. Esse é o Brassagem Forte.
Alô, Leute, Henrique Boaventura. E hoje, diretamente dos estúdios da Pint Network, vamos criar treta com mais um estilo. Ou seria outra coisa, já que nem o BJCP diz que essas cervejas são cervejas especificamente, ou um estilo específico. Para essa tarefa, eu trago quem? John Palmer, para trazer a sua mais alta expertise e me ajudar nesse processo. Hey John, how have you been?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here.
Great. Actually, it's great because you are here. This is always a magical moment to have John Palmer on my humble podcast. And I will try to record like 10 times with John. And for 10 times, I will say the same thing. It's always an honor to have you here.
Well, I think by the 10th time, people will actually understand get some interest in who I am, Otherwise, nobody in Brazil knows me. Yeah.
Nobody in the homebrew scene knows who John Palmer is. Okay. What a humble guy. E sabe quem tá aqui também na minha mais alta estima? São os nossos queridos apoiadores e apoiadoras do Brassagem Forte, que tem vários benefícios. Temos sorteios de equipamentos, livros e merchans exclusivos, participação no melhor grupo WhatsApp cervejeiro do país e acesso ao Julgando Forte, que é a nossa iniciativa de treinamento e aperfeiçoamento de avaliação de cervejas. Se tu quiser ter acesso a tudo isso, faça como Leandro Almeida, Gabriel Mendes e Souza Martim, Carlos Alberto Poitevin, Cíntia Alcaua, Alan George, além de um séquito de outras pessoas mais que nos apoiam pelo Apoia-se. O link é apoia.se/brassagem-forte. O link tá no post. E olha só essa novidade, hoje abre o Cofre Forte. Para quem não conhece, é uma parceria que o Brassagem Forte tem com a Levitec. E a ideia é bem simples, a Levitec tem um banco de micro-organismos que não estão em nenhuma prateleira de brew shop. Coisas que a maioria dos cervejeiros e cervejeiras nunca vai ter acesso. Só quem ouve o Brassagem Forte que vai. E a levedura dessa edição de reabertura é uma Belgian High Gravity que nunca foi propagada antes. Então, se você quiser fazer um clone de uma Westmalle ou qualquer outra trapista de verdade, essa cepa tem tudo o que você precisa. Essa é uma ação exclusiva para os ouvintes do Brassagem Forte. E se você é apoiador ou apoiadora, ainda tem 17% de desconto, exclusivo para você. Se ainda não é apoiador ou apoiadora, mas quer aproveitar o desconto, vire apoiador agora que na hora você já vai receber esse cupom. Então acesse já brassagemforte.com.br/cofreforte para garantir a sua levedura exclusiva. O link também está na descrição do episódio e em todos os lugares. Today, we will try to talk about British strong ales. A difficult job, right?
Yeah. But somebody's got to do it. So
Exactly.
Glad you volunteered me.
Someone must rescue this style.
That's right.
But first, before we dig into the British strong ales, let me give a historical context to the listeners. So, British strong ales trace their roots to strong malty beers from 70s and 80s, including Edinburgh ales and things like Burton ales. It's like a style with the half of the bitterness of an IPA. These were premium, high-gravity ales, often brewing in variety strengths for export, cellaring, and bottom conditional. It was common also. As brewing gravities decline over the time due to economic wars, technological changes, and some of these variants fade away, the style encompasses a broad group of minor historical recreations and modern interpretations with alcohol strength starting around 5.5% ABV. It's today's standards is not that strong, but for the historical context, it was like a strong beer for the pub ales that were like low ABVs. And it reflects like this unrelated minor styles rather than like a single lineage with no abnormal strength categorization in the past centuries. So it's like post World War II, like a declining style that is around, but not that much. John, is the style like a BJCPification, or like the magic touch of the BJCP trying to create a style, or it seems like a lot of different beers trying to be fitted in one place?
Yeah,
is that right?
Yeah, it's, as you say, they originated in like the Old English or stock ales, a higher strength ale that was aged for a period of time, stored, that sort of thing. And we kind of, as you say, as we moved, to modern times, these styles were kind of lost. They were replaced by lower gravity styles, your bitters, your Scottish export, brown ales, and everything started going lower, but mainly due to taxes, less strength, less tax, and so things started getting lower, but they still retained some barley wines, from the old days. And so the current British strong ale category kind of encompasses that style space above bitters and other, similar pale ales, British pale ales, and barley wines. So as you say, a kind of a 5 to 8, maybe 9% window where these British strong ales exist, and they can have many different characters. They could be pale. Generally, they're amber to dark, and the balance of them is generally malt forward. Sometimes balanced, but generally malt forward.
It's hard for me because if you're trying to trace a line, like to divide a British strong ale from an English barley wine, from an old ale, it's like there's subtle difference between those styles.
Yeah.
Rather than the ABV content, because English barley wine can be a lot stronger than the British strong ale, which is hard for me to say because British strong ale must have like a higher ABV content,
Yeah, they're very much like the old ale category, except old ales are expected to have that oxidation character, those melanoidin and oxidation esters and compounds that add some complexity and some extra fruit to the beer, whereas your British strong ale are expected to be, even though they may be aged or bottle conditioned, they're expected to be a younger, fresher beer with less of the aged character to them.
Perfect. Because I can't remember right now which book I was reading about the genesis of the British styles, because in Germany, you also have this kind of thing. There's no style per se.
Right.
It's like my beer that I've been brewing for 3 centuries, and I call it Pils.
Oh, right.
But it's not a Pils. And it seems that in the British side of brewing, it's also the same. Like I'm brewing some kind of beer here that somehow someone tried to fit into a style, and okay, but I'm brewing my beer. Seems to be like this,
Yeah, it's like, John Hardy's beer or, Old Noggin Stuffer. It's just it's a strong ale that's been made, for 100 years. They always did it this way. Everybody likes it, so they just don't mess with it. Yeah, it's a interesting group of, it's a style space, because on the one side, you've got your porters and stouts that can bridge this ABV strength.
Okay.
On the other side, you've got your barley wines. Another top end, you've got your barley wines. Other side, you have IPAs, which are a strong ale, but they're highly hopped. So there you've crossed into a different style with a highly hopped strong ale that, is hop forward as opposed to malt forward. American strong ale, by contrast, is very similar to the British strong ale, except where the British strong ale is balanced to malt forward. The American strong ale is balanced to hop forward. So a little subtle distinction there.
Please continue.
Okay, well, the best example to bring up of American strong ale that you all may have tasted at some point or other is Stone's Arrogant Bastard, well-known one. And yeah, it's not quite as hoppy as an IPA, of the same alcohol. It's got a lot more malt backbone, a lot richer malt character, a lot of dark bread crust, and a lot of more ester to it. And so yeah, it's a strong ale, but with a hop-forward presentation or balance.
Perfect. Because American version is like a little bit more higher it's higher actually into ABV.
Yeah.
Because I think that starts at 6.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And go, I think, a little bit higher in ABV also.
But 8 or 9.
It's a good comparison. It's like the malty version or like malty sister of English mix breed with an English IPA and the American strong ale.
Right.
Ok. Quer sair do faz porque sempre fez e realmente entender o processo cervejeiro? Então fica ligado, abriu a turma 2026 do curso de tecnologia cervejeira da Academia da Cerveja, em parceria com a VLB Berlim, uma das maiores referências do mundo em ciência cervejeira. E aqui tem um diferencial importantíssimo. É o único curso fora da Alemanha com certificação oficial da VLB. O conteúdo vai da matéria-prima até os processos produtivos e controle de qualidade, com uma abordagem bem técnica e aplicada. As aulas são online entre os dias 11 e 29 de maio, sempre à noite. Se você quiser evoluir tecnicamente de verdade, vale muito a pena dar uma olhada. As vagas são limitadas e o link está na descrição desse programa. So, a little bit about the style. You think you can like bring us some like what we were looking for in like aroma and flavors, like a overview for this style?
Yeah, you're looking for a dark amber to copper, maybe even brown colored beer. You're looking for lots of malt character, lots of bread crust, with some toast, maybe even a little bit of roast, but you don't want to cross into the porter and stout area. So you want to stay, over here with much breadier bread crust with hints of with toast and roast to kind of accentuate that. Again, English brown ales have some of this character, but they don't have the alcohol strength. So that's where the British strong ale comes. It kind of takes off from the English brown ale into a higher alcohol version where you can have some of the toast and roast adding, accents. From the hop character, you want to balance all this malt with sufficient bitterness, but you're not really looking for any hop flavor in the middle of the taste of the beer. You can have a little bit of hop flavor up front, but it should be mostly malty, get a little bit in the middle, and really should have a malt finish as opposed to a hop finish. So yeah, I would, if you're brewing one of these or trying to brew one of them, I would go sparingly on your late hop additions. Then fermentation character, you're looking for lots of fruit. So yeah, definitely use an English or English style yeast with gives some good stone fruit character. You can look at little longer boil times to develop some more melanoidin. And but I think in general your malt choices, 10% caramel malt is typical. Some toast malt, touch of roast malt, say in the 3 to 5% range. Munich malt, even though it's not strictly British, that does add a lot of that dark bread crust, and especially a dark Munich malt, Cara Munich and so on, helps you achieve those rich melanoidin characters that lend themselves to additional fruit flavors.
As you were explaining the flavor and malt aroma, I was thinking to brown malt.
Oh,
I know that it's hard to find today. I know that it's like a super specialty malt that in Brazil it's been like years that I don't see a bag of brown malt. But as you were saying, like a touch of roast and a touch of
toast.
bready crust and toasty. Like it seems like the place to a brown malt be used.
Yes, yeah, that'd be a good malt to use. I often forget about that one, but yeah. Again, 3 to 5% is generally enough to get
for a brown malt.
Yeah, of the brown malt in this style to get those characters. Brown malt itself is very strong tasting, so you don't want to use too much. I wouldn't use 10. I think you would kind of overwhelm the other malt characteristics of the beer.
It's fun because if someone from the 18th century listen to this, like you should use only a 3% or 10% brown malt. They used to use like 50%.
Right.
Imagine how those beers were. John.
And that brings up another point: sugars. Brewing sugars as an ingredient. And when you have heavy malts, heavy flavored malts like brown malt, that's where the use of brewing sugars comes in handy, because now you can dilute a lot of that heavy malt flavor with a lighter tasting sugar. You can still get your ABV up there. I was judging last week at the World Beer Cup over in Denver, and we did a category called Other Strong Beer. So we had various beers kind of grouped together. What did we have? We had like 5 U.S. malt liquors in that category. With the ABV about.
Okay, with wines, it were there? No.
Yeah, but about 7-8% ABV. 6, but there was one
strong.
There was a strong porter that was in the category, and I know that this doesn't necessarily fall in what we're talking about today, but with the strong porter, you could tell that they had used a lot of brewing sugars in that formulation, because you had some of those flavors, but you didn't have the body. And
interesting.
It was a much thinner bodied beer, and it really, I don't think it worked as well. Maybe in a hotter climate than what I'm used to, something with a beer with a thinner body and that ABV would come across well. But to me, I was looking for that extra component, that little extra body. There was some richness to come through.
Yeah.
That that particular beer didn't have. So yeah, brewing sugars are a good tool, but don't do 40% brewing sugars, because you're going to really start losing some of the richness, I think, in the body that makes these British strong ales special.
I'm amazed by my tropical stout that I brew like 2 months ago. I brew it with brown sugar.
Oh yeah,
and it tastes amazing. I don't like at all. It's strong to say I don't like, but I don't used to brew too much strong, stouts. But this tropical specifically, it was amazing with the hint of brown sugar that lingers in the mouth, like after the sip. It tastes awesome. But you say about the using plain sugar, because they use also caramel sugars.
Yes,
that I like in darker sugars, but here you're thinking about plain sugar.
No, actually, I'm talking about the caramelized, or the darker sugars that
like the 1, 2, 3, 4 caramels that are used in the brewing industry.
Yes,
that you can make at home also.
Yeah, you can. But those were traditionally used in a lot of British beers, and it's common to find those flavors and uses in current British strong ales. Here's one example: the Sam Smith's Winter Warmer, and this is 8%, I believe. But yeah, it's 6%. It's a 6% beer. So this at the bottom end.
6%.
I've got another Sam Smith here that's at 8%. This one's a oak cask conditioned, higher strength Winter Warmer type recipe, I think. But darker color. But yeah, you don't see many British strong ales on the market these days, and that's That's one of the nice things about being a home brewer is you can try to, you can do these yourself. And
exactly.
Yeah.
That's the magic. Because I was thinking still into the sugar side, the adjunct side. I think that I read someplace that they use also molasses to brew this kind of beers. You think that it's also like a fitable here?
Yeah, I think molasses has too much of an unrefined flavor. I think what brewers may have called molasses 100, 200 years ago probably tastes a little bit more refined than what we consider molasses today, which has a very...
It's like burnt.
Yes, has a very strong flavor.
But it's like a burnt flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you're better off using just the caramelized brewing sugars, invert sugars, and so on that are available. Those have less of a heavy flavor. Molasses can carry, a lot of sulfur character with it.
Sulfur?
Yeah.
Huh. I think that I never use molasses to make a beer.
Yeah.
I think that I won't try.
I used it to make a porter once. Yeah, it wasn't that good. And
Yeah. What a shame.
Yeah, yeah. That's the beauty of homebrewing. I mean, it's like sometimes you think a beer is going to turn out wonderful, and it really doesn't. But this is a nice example. This is the winter warmer. And you can see the color there, a nice deep amber.
To the ones that are just listening to this episode, John is showing a fucking glass of beer with a British strong ale, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. The beer.
That's right.
And also John, actually.
Well, I figure it's afternoon in Brazil, so,
Yeah, it's like 3:30 here.
Oh, yeah. Perfect time for a beer.
It's almost beer time.
Yeah.
What about hops, John? You say that this is like a malt-forward style, and I asked just when he was sipping the beer.
No worries.
Just as a revenge.
Yeah. Well, it was a way to me. It was a little bit of research. What hops am I tasting in this winter warmer? Yeah. You would want, traditional British hops, your Progress, your Target, Brewer's Gold, Brewer's, Bullion. What's some other ones? Well,
Target.
Your EKG. Yeah, Target. Yeah, a lot of these, fruity, earthy, black currants kind of hop characters. But again, you're using these mainly for bittering. Just a touch in the finishing stages, for a little bit of accent, a little bit of, color to, or not color, but,
yeah, go ahead.
A little bit of character to the beer.
Okay.
Mainly bittering because these are a malt-forward, malt-focused style. So you don't want to muddy up the malt character. And that's something I see a lot in competitions where whether it's American Amber styles or other malt-forward styles like American Märzen, which is, American
Märzen is such a complex expression.
Yeah, it's we're going to put more hops in it and hope it tastes good. Yeah.
It should be called like American March.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. But yeah, it's very common, especially for homebrewers, to just add more hops to every beer style because they're there. You're standing there. You might as well do something with them. But I think really when you start brewing these delicious malt-forward styles, you got to restrain yourself from adding too much hops. Too much hop flavor starts adding resin and bitterness to the malt. So you lose some of the malt sweetness. You want the balance, but you don't want to start adding hop flavor on top of that because unless you pick your hops very carefully and develop a recipe, you can start muddying up that malt character, I find. Some of the citrus hops work well, like American Amber Ale. Maybe we're talking about a 5% ABV beer. American Amber works well because you're using caramel malts. It's a rich malty beer, but then you're using a citrusy hop that works with that flavor. It's not, or you can you can try a little bit of the Simcoe, get a little bit of pine in there. But if you start going too much, then you've got just a bitter, resiny, semi-sweet beer. It's better if the two can, be more harmonious.
Pílulas de Conhecimento, apresentado por Levitech.
A escolha da levedura define muito mais do que a fermentação. Define o perfil sensorial da cerveja. Em estilos maltados, como a British Strong Ale, o ponto crítico está na atenuação controlada e no equilíbrio dos ésteres. Cepas britânicas produzem mais compostos secundários, e esse metabolismo, se não estiver bem ajustado, o resultado pode ser excesso de diacetil ou álcoois superiores, mascarando a complexidade do malte. No episódio de hoje, o Henrique trouxe resultados satisfatórios com o uso de leveduras Levitech. E isso não é por acaso. Trabalhamos com cepas selecionadas para esse equilíbrio, desde perfis mais limpos, como American Ale, para o malte brilhar, até perfis mais expressivos, como a Resident Ale, que trazem notas clássicas de ésteres de leveduras inglesas. No fim, é sobre traduzir complexidade em drinkability. Eu sou a Gabriela Miller, da Levitech Tecnologia Viva.
Do you think, John, that it's something that I think when I judge a lot? Because it seems that people use hops to try to fix the sweetness of the beer. Because I think that people confuse, actually, homebrewers confuse like the malty flavor or a malty-forward beer with a sweet beer.
Right. Right.
There's a difference. There's a like a sweet spot between a malty beer and a sweet beer that I think that generally homebrewers miss this point. It makes the beer too sweet, and the next version you add more hops, trying to fix that.
Yeah, and they'll also add those hops in the middle of the boil and at the end of the boil, and then now you've changed the essential character of the style. Yeah, these British beers generally are not. I mean, they're malty, but they're generally not that sweet. They're pretty dry actually when you drink them. This Winter Warmer, for example, it has a sweet aroma, but a very balanced palate and a dry finish. There's a touch of sweetness to the finish, but it's really more of a lack of hops than it is sweet, if you see what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think that's something like the comparison with the examples that arrive here in Brazil, like the English beers bottle versions that arrive in Brazil, like totally cooked, like days and weeks under the sun, and it tastes like honey and tastes like papery and things like that, and people think that that's the British character,
Right.
So it tastes sweet, it's sweeter because it's like oxidized.
Yeah, and you will as these British beers, because they have the caramel malts and they have the toasted malts, which have a lot of compounds that can oxidize pretty easily over time, especially when exposed to warm temperatures. Yeah, they will take on these high toffee, cardboard kind of characters. Inky is another descriptor.
Inky?
Yeah, like, if you smell a ballpoint pen. Yeah.
Like this kind of ink?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You get that kind of sweet plastic character. Big oxidation character. Another.
I think that my Chinese pen is smelling like oil, like oil barrel.
Yeah.
Fuck. And looking for the yeast character that I think that for the British beer, yeast matters, right?
Yes.
Malt matters and yeast matters.
Right.
So what are we looking for? I know English strains, but is there some strains that works better for these kind of styles? It's something here that it's not that common, that thinking into some strains that works forward, malt forward or bitterness forward. I think that here we still use like English yeast, like a generic.
Yeah, well, all of your British, your British dry yeasts, your English yeast, your London fog, today's hazy IPA yeasts work really well for these styles. They're not going to be hazy. The reason you get haze, one of the reasons you get haze in a hazy IPA is because you're not boiling the hops. So you get a lot of hop polyphenols carrying over into the final beer. Whereas if you actually boil the hops, they precipitate out and you end up with clear beer. So hazy IPA yeasts would work well for these styles. Your other British, London ale, British ale. I can't think of any other specific, yeast names to call out. But
like SO4 works well for this style.
Yeah, definitely. SO4 is a good one.
I'm thinking also in Lallemand.
Yeah, Nottingham.
I think it's Windsor.
Yeah, Windsor.
Nothing. But
Nottingham.
Nottingham can be like tricky because you want like a bit of body, but you don't want like sweetness. So you must have like a full attenuated beer with body, right?
Yeah. You want to make sure you get your pitching rates up, so that you get a fully attenuated beer, and you don't want your yeast to drop out. So pay attention to your fermentation temperatures. Generally, warmer is better. Something, and I'm not talking
21 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, that would be fine. I wouldn't go much more. You don't want to get them hot, but a little warmer end will help them ferment vigorously, produce lots of nice esters. You don't want banana character.
Oh, sure.
You want more of the apple, pear, stone fruit kind of character in your fermentation profile. A little bit of diacetyl is malt enhancing, but it's not a character that you're specifically looking for.
Keep the bananas to your Catarina sours, right?
Yes.
I think that Jamil says that he likes for the English beers to like start lower, like 18, 19 degrees Celsius, and let it free rise until like 21, and then control the temperature.
Yes.
It seems like a good strategy.
Yeah, that's a good strategy for all beer styles. Start a little bit cooler and get a nice gradual rise in fermentation activity for the first 24 hours, and then let that free rise. That way you reduce the amount of byproducts the yeast put off in the beginning. Especially they don't produce the overabundance acetaldehyde and acetohydroxy acids that turn into a diacetyl that they have to clean up later. So yeah, you reduce the maturation stresses on the yeast that way.
Yeah, I just did it with a Kelch using like a Brazilian laboratory German ale from Levtech, and it's delicious.
Good.
An alt beer and then a Kelch. So it's beautiful.
Nice.
John, process side of the beer. For a mash, British mash, like single infusion.
Single infusion, yep.
Like works.
Yeah, you're very well. Because you're dealing with highly modified malts, especially all of today's malts are highly modified, but you're using a fair amount of specialty malts that are already converted. So a single infusion works very well. Sometimes you are adding refined or semi-refined brewing sugars, so those don't need to, time in the mash to convert or anything. So yeah, single infusion works very well. And then you're looking, depending on the amount of melanoidin that you want to develop, you may go to a longer boil, but very often they don't need it. Very often you're putting in enough specialty malt to generate those melanoidin flavors that you don't need a longer boil.
It's cheaper. It's cheaper than electricity or gas.
That's right. Yeah, and then as you say, a cool start to the fermentation, free rise to a warm finish on that fermentation works very well to get these beers fully attenuated and cleaned up, very clean tasting, and they just very nice drinking. This I'm really enjoying having this winter warmer right now. Tastes really good.
I'm glad that you suggest it, because I think that you suggest this style so you can drink it while we recording.
Yeah.
E você está ouvindo esse episódio já pensando em braçar uma cerveja? Você pesquisou loucamente? Você sabe, não precisa usar equipamento antigo e ultrapassado. Tu pode usar os equipamentos da Easy Brew. Com uma linha completa de equipamentos, acessórios e insumos, eles atendem desde o cervejeiro caseiro iniciante até a produção profissional. Está com vontade de produzir, mas com pouco tempo ou espaço? Você precisa conhecer a nova K60, o equipamento Double Vessel que ocupa o mesmo espaço de uma single, conta com várias automações e ainda tem uma versatilidade enorme. Ela faz de 15 a 50 litros e tem a capacidade de processar grande volume de malte, fazendo das Sessions até as High Gravities. E o nosso ouvinte ainda tem 10% de desconto com o cupom Brassagem Forte, tudo junto. Entre agora no site easybrew.com.br para escolher o equipamento que melhor atende às suas necessidades. Easy Brew, cerveja sem perrengue. So, two things that I think that it's good, like we discussed a bit, it's oxidation and maturation. Like you told us that this is like a old ale without the oxidation side. Like it's a non-oxidated old ale, low ABV, right? So there's no space for oxidation in this beer, or you think that's some kind of oxidation works here?
It works to an extent, but if you have a noticeable oxidation character, the very fruity or the little bit of the fusel alcohols, and so on, that really is an old ale. So if you can taste the oxidation character, you're going to taste this thinking, okay, I'm drinking an old ale, not a British strong ale.
Okay, it's a good ballpoint to differ this kind of beers. And the maturation, like it's historically it could be like a keeping beer, but today it seems like a good like thing to do with this beer, like keeping it for a competition, for example.
Bottle conditioning, 6 months in the bottle is fine. That's great.
Away from the ice, so you cannot see and trying to drink it, right?
Right. Cask conditioning, oak conditioning can also be done, although if you're in a competition, that would kind of move it into a barrel-aged category as opposed to the British strong ale category. But I mean, there's a lot you can do with this style space and this alcohol level of 5.5 or 6 to 8. A lot of potential there for experimentation and tailoring it to your own tastes.
Perfect. So just like going to the finish of this episode, you told us that you were judging at the World Beer Cup and judged like some strong ales, some British strong ales. You still think that despite the existence and historical breweries in England, there's still place for a British strong ale today, like commercial-wise or contest-wise, it's still a thing you see in the contest.
Yeah, you get them in brown ales. You get them with you see this ABV more often in a porter or an IPA category. People are going really malt forward or really hop forward. This more balanced area that this style is not one that people think about brewing, but boy, you get the balance right, and this is so drinkable. It is not palate fatiguing. It's just a very drinkable, refreshing, slightly fruity, malty, just a delicious beer. We're so programmed to be IPAs or Baltic porter or extra stout, with lots of coffee and so on and roast. We forget about this middle area, and this lack of extremes that is very very nice to drink.
Maybe there's like in the future there's a place for a market that don't look to the beers like all extreme, like the both sides of the extreme, like no alcohol or like full alcohol content, you know?
Yeah, I barbecue a lot, like many of you all down there, and boy, there's just nothing better than sitting by the barbecue and having a nice, full-bodied, strong beer to sip while you cook.
I made a Franconen Schwarzbier.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I think that's Dornus. The Dark Lagers book, the Dark Lagers book.
Yes.
There's a Franconian Schwarzbier recipe that I did it just to make my own barbecue. Like the kegerator is next to my barbecue area, so it's awesome. And using like the exact tap. Faucet.
Oh yeah, really nice.
The China version, right? Because it's expensive as hell. This thing.
Yeah.
The ones from Czech Republic is expensive as hell. So here we have like the Chinese version that costs like, I don't know, like $2 for $30, maybe $30, something like that.
30, $40, yeah.
And it works, just works.
Yeah.
E falando em lúpulo, se você quiser acesso a toda a miríade de lúpulos selecionados pela Hops Company diretamente nas fazendas norte-americanas, safras específicas selecionadas lindamente, entra no site hopscompany.com ou chama a pessoa que já te atende ou ainda manda um direct que estamos começando 2026 e logo logo tem safra nova para comprar.
John, so I can let you finish your beer. Please give for the listeners some tips, like quick tips for brewing this style and do well on the contests.
You want about 75% base malt in your recipe, and it should be a good British pale ale malt, ideally. Then I would say 10% caramel malt, and then 3 to 5% of another couple specialty malts. Your toast, a little bit of roast, some Munich, some dark Munich, some Care Munich, Care Aroma, something that has a lot of melanoidin character in it that can really, add to the complexity of the malt character. Maybe some caramel sugar if you want to bump up the ABV a couple points. And but then some traditional British hops, mostly bittering. You can add a little bit towards the end if you want, but that's going to kind of color your malt profile. So just keep that in mind. I'm myself in my home brewing these days. I'm really brewing more of these malty styles and not using the finishing hops. I'm just doing bittering only, and I really like it.
Yeah.
So
60 minutes and done.
But anyway. Yeah, exactly. And then, good fermentation, lots of aeration going in, at the beginning, get a good clean fermentation, give it plenty of time to maturate in the fermenter before you bottle it or keg it. I guess if you're going to bottle condition, you don't have to give it as much maturation time in the fermenter, but, lots of ways to do this, but your goal is to get this very well attenuated, drinkable malty beer. So good luck.
Good luck. And brew this style at home, because
yes,
brewing different styles. I'm an anti-IPAs. I'm full anti-IPAs. I just brew IPAs because someday I want to brew every BJCP style. That's the only reason why I would brew an IPA at home, especially a hazy IPA or a brut IPA, because these things don't should be in the should not be in the BJCP styles, because whatever. So
I like the brut IPAs actually.
Really,
when they're done well, a very dry, firmly bitter. Yeah, it works. I've had some really nice ones over the years. Hazies, I can take or leave. Sometimes I'm in a very fruity mood, but when I have that flavor in mind, it's just easier to drink straight pineapple juice rather than make a beer out of it.
If it's free, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
You must send me your Brut IPA recipe, because if you like it and also like malty beers just like I am, so your Brut IPA recipe must be good.
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
John, it was a pleasure to have you. Always a good chat, always a good mood. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing with us all your knowledge and talk about British strong ales.
Thanks, Henrique. It's always great talking with you, and always it'd be good to actually sit across the counter from you and have another beer sometime soon.
Oh, please. Next time in Brazil, or maybe it's a little bit difficult when I go to United States. It's a difficult times right now.
Yes. Yeah.
See you soon, John. We must talk about winter beers. So next time, maybe we will talk about it.
That'd be cool. Okay. Take care.
Thank you, John. Nos siga no Instagram, estamos no Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, Deezer, qualquer agregador, estamos lá. Se você puder fazer um review, isso é muito importante pra gente, a gente vai ser recomendado para mais pessoas. Compartilhe os episódios com seus amigos, tem dúvida, sugestão de pauta, crítica, quer anunciar a sua empresa ou seu produto, e-mail para contato@brassagemforte.com.br ou mande uma mensagem para nós. Brassagem Forte!
Este podcast é uma produção da Pint Network e está disponível no Spotify, no YouTube ou na sua plataforma de áudio preferida. Na nossa equipe, contamos com a colaboração de Henrique Boaventura, Ludmila Almeida e Maurício TK, sócios e apresentadores do podcast. Também fazem parte do time Gabriel Gurian, na apresentação e redação do blog, Rubens Reis, na edição, Hop Your Media, nas redes sociais, e Laís Andrade, no design.